Okay, in this example we're going to show you how to get the kick drum and the bass drum to play together with a sidechain with Neutron 3. Now first of all, I've set this up so that you can hear, well, you won't be able to hear it via this YouTube channel, but I've made it so that the kick drum is well out of the way of the bass guitar, so the bass is actually masking the kick drum somewhat. So what you need to do if you want a technique to do with Izotope Neutron 3 is you can sidechain the actual kick drum to signal to the bass guitar, and every time the kick drum hits the bass will duck out of the way. But to do this, you need to, this is what stumped me the first time I actually tried this. There's a version of Neutron 3 in an FX version, which is actually the VST3 version. So if you look down the bottom here, there's actually VST3. But if I click on the VST version and go down the bottom here, you'll see it says VST2. This sidechaining technique only works with the VST3 version, which is the effects one. So this effects one is the one to click on and drag into your session. Now I've already done this over here to save some time. So once we've got that over here, you'll open it up. So this is your bass guitar. You'll open it up, you'll label it bass. I like to set the masking so that I can see, if you get this going, you can actually see the, if I get them going together, if I turn it on it might help. So if we turn them both on and activate them, you'll see that there, I like to set the masking on the kick, and I also like to set the masking on the bass guitar, so you can see where it's going to be conflicting a little bit. So what you want to do is, when you first open these, this little blue button won't be on, it will be off. So you want to, that will be off like that, and this will be off as well. So you got to make sure that these two sidechain buttons are on both of them. So that's the first step. They've both got to be talking to each other in the Izotope Neutron 3 VST program. Then you need to go into, I was sending from the kick to the bass. You need to go into, I think it's the bass guitar, and actually select kick. And what that automatically does, if we see, for example, if we take that out and go out of there, you see that the send's gone. So you need to say, on the bass guitar, I want the sidechain, I want to turn it from off to on, and go kick. I want the kick to send to it, so that signals the kick to sidechain to the bass. So every time, if I just keep it going here, every time that the bass kicks, see this little line here, this is where I'm ducking out of, and I'll show you how to do this now. So what happens is, this will be turned off. Oh, actually, I'll turn that off. That's all going to be turned off to start with. So what you'll hear, I'll put that back to normal. So as you can hear it, as it is, the bass, you can't hear the kick drum at all. So what you do is you go into sidechain, you'll turn it on, you'll go kick. This is all on the bass track. Then you'll duck the bass out to where, scoop it out a little bit. So it's normally for the kick drum is around about the, from the 100 crossover down. And you'll scoop a bit out, and then you'll click this little button here, and you'll say dynamic. And then you'll see a little bit of a dynamic chain happening here, threshold. Then you'll go sidechain, and it will be originally set on internal. You need to set it to external, and you need to say full signal. It will be on band 1. You need to change it to full signal, and then what you'll see is you can set this threshold, and then you'll see a little bit of that line. Every time the kick kicks, that's scooping some of the, and you can hear the kick drum. If we turn it off, you can't. It just, the bass is just masking the kick. Turn it back on, all of a sudden it's working, and you can hear the kick drum come through. Now to get the bass back, of course, you need to probably get some of these secondary transients up here to in, so that in the bass, to so you can hear the bass up further, about there, and it'll play nicely with the kick. So you turn it off, You can't really hear it. Now you can hear the bass and the kick going beautifully. So basically they're the elements of this. You need to click the blue bar on, the blue sidechain button on, kick, and then you need to go to the module that you want to scoop out, bring it down a bit. If you want to do upward expansion, you could click this up button, it would go up. So you go the other way. But for this instance you want to scoop it out, and you need to click dynamic, set the threshold. Now if you're not getting enough threshold, if you're not getting enough scooping, what I like to do is go to the send here, over here on the sends, and you can turn that up so it actually scoops more, and then you'll notice that it'll actually kick more out of the way. Whoops, what we got there? We got the, see, it's kicking more. So the more you actually take the send out, the less is sent, the less kick drum signal sent, and the less it reacts to this little line. The more you put in, I always like to have it a fair bit up, fair way up, and just muck around with that, and you get the levels to where you want it, and the kick drum will come through, and that's as easy as that. But don't forget to click this little sidechain button on both of them. That's the real thing that got me. And set the sidechain not through the sends. You can actually go in here and go sends, and you can go sidechains, and you can select your bass guitar in here. You can go there, bass, mono, inserts 1, and do it that way. But you don't need to do that. All you need to do is go in here and click on kick. See, it's disappeared from there. But when you go back into bass and you go kick, bang, there it is. So that's how you do it, and it's all nice and clean, and it will work every time. If perchance you use this Neutron VST, and it's the VST2 version, it won't work. It just doesn't react to the kick drum at all. The way you can test that, and this took me a while to work that out, is up here on the tracks. I had opened the bass, and you can see this working here. What I did is I got the kick drum track, and I actually slid some of the kick drum back. So now you can see this is the kick track, or the bass track rather. This is we're scooping out. It's not working, so that's just the bass. It's not going to the bass. But the minute the kick track comes in, you'll see the line starting to move. See? When the kick stops, it's running off the kick. What happens though when you do this with the Neutron 2, the VST2 version, the old, this version here, the VST2, it doesn't read from the kick drum, and it seems like it's broken, because when the bass guitar is working on its own, and you've got the bass up here, it's still going, it's going to the bass. So you just don't use the VST2 version, and you'll be right. That was the thing that got me, and yeah, hope this helps somebody.